highlight or stress much more on Market Cipher B. Market Cipher is basically made up of two structures, Cipher A and Cipher B. Cipher B is typically what I refer to my Google Maps, and Cipher A is what I refer to my road signs, basically. So with today's video, I wanted to highlight on how price tend to react heavily with Market Cipher B, and I wanted to deal with momentum wave, which is one of the most influential oscillators or wave in Market Cipher B. Market Cipher B is basically made up of three oscillators. So the first one is this blue wave. This blue wave that we see here is made up of this first blue wave. You can see it goes down and it goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. Then we have another wave also called the money flow, which is this green wave. Goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. Basically, these are waves because they move. And the last one I want to talk is also the VWAP, which is the yellow line. It also goes down, comes up, goes, comes, and they oscillate above and beyond the zero line. So this is the zero line, which divides the regions into two territories. We have the positive region, and then we have the negative region. So the positive basically refers to your buying side, and the negative also refers to your selling side. So as you all know, trading is all about buying and selling an asset at different time frames. So basically, time also plays an incredible part in trading. But I'm not really going to talk about time today. I just wanted to highlight on momentum waves and how they affect price. Basically, all these oscillators or all these waves that I just talked about has an impact on price. But there is this jargon called confluence. Confluence is when all of these waves or all of these oscillators are heading towards the same direction. Like I said, trading is all about direction, and we have the the upward direction, we have the downward direction, and we have the consolidating direction. So basically, these waves move in accordance with time. So on different time frames, which is on a 4-hour time frame, these waves more or less move in 4-hour period. So when you go to the 3-hour, it means these waves also move in a 3-hour period. So the lesser the time frame, the more the waves. Doesn't make sense, because these waves basically are a representation of time frames. These waves, the blue, the green, the yellow, are all a representation of time frames, and they move in accordance with different time frames. So if I'm on a 3-hour time frame, means my wave move for every 3 hours. It moves basically. But these waves basically don't move. Let's say they don't move with the same pace. The reason why I'm saying it, there's a big difference between the momentum wave, and there's a big difference between your money flow, which is now red because we are in the negative territories, and when it's green, it means we are in the positive territories. And the reason why money is important is for every asset is backed by a liquid, which is money. So if there is money in the asset, it means it's in the positive territories, and there's money outside the asset, it means you're in the negative territories. So, and since every asset is backed by liquid, it means if there is less liquid, price evidently falls here, because if price fell here hugely because we're in the negative territories. You can just do a back test and realize and you can realize that price fell a lot when we were in the negative territories. It means we had less money in the assets, back in the assets, so price evidently fell. You can also realize that our momentum wave was also in the negative, so it means price also fell. And our VWAP, which is also another oscillator, the yellow one, spent a decent amount of time in the negative territories. Like I said, it goes up then comes down. So we had basically three of our most influential oscillators in the negatives. So evidently price fell. Makes sense. There was a little bit upward here, but again price, but the overall direction of price was in a downtrend. Like I said, trading is either upwards or downwards. So since we had majority of our oscillators which has majority influence on price in the negatives, price evidently came downwards. Makes sense. So it's like what influences price, or what influences the direction of price, are based on my influential oscillators. They have much influence on price. There's the beauty about Market Cipher is it gives you a simplified overview of how price tends to react with oscillators. And we have different forms of oscillators, so you can realize that if we have two of them or more in the negative, it means price will fall hugely in the sense that money is exiting out of the asset, momentum is also down. So momentum is also down. Then we have our also yellow line also struggling. It goes up, then it comes down. It goes up, then it comes down. So you realize there was a little bit of downtrend with our yellow line, even though it didn't spend much time in the negative. But we have two influential oscillators in the negative, so evidently price will fall. So the same way goes with if we have the same two or more influential oscillators in the positives, price will rise. So what happened here is we realized that our momentum wave went upwards into the positive regions. Then our money flow was also in the positives. Then you can realize that our VWAP was struggling a little bit, but again we have two influential oscillators in the positive, so you can realize that price went upwards. Makes sense. Then you can realize that there was a decline in our momentum wave coming back into the negative territories. Then there was a decline in price as well, because again money was also exiting out of the assets. You can realize the money flow was also exiting out of the assets, so price also fell. Then we realized there was an uptrend here. Momentum came back into the positive territories. Then we saw a little bit struggle with money flow. It was still struggling in the negative, but again you can realize that our VWAP, which is another influential oscillator, spent a little bit time in the positive, so price evidently rose. So what happens when you have, let's say, our VWAP in the positives, our money flow in the positives, and our momentum wave in the positives? This is whereby you could see price going hugely to different higher highs before it probably settles down to a reasonable support. It makes sense. So it's like trading the market cipher is basically finding majority of your oscillators, or majority of your influential oscillators or waves heading towards the positives, so that price will be affected hugely. Or the other side is when you have majority of them heading towards the negatives, price is also affected. So you do your calculation. If you have two of these majority of your oscillators in the negatives, if two of them are in the negatives and one is in the positive, it means the price or the direction of price goes in favor of the two, because the two supersedes one. Makes sense. And if again, if you have one in a negative, sorry, the positive, and 2 in a negative, means price comes down. So as if you have 2 of your oscillators in the positives and 1 in the negatives, it means price goes up in favor of the influential oscillators. So basically, Market Cipher simplifies how you trade by giving you a visual understanding of different varieties of oscillators or waves and how they affect price in general. So the direction of price is influenced by money flow, which is your liquid in your vehicle, and your momentum, which is your engine, and also your VWAP, which is your turbo. So all three function together. If they move towards the same direction, price spikes upwards in terms of the direction. If it's going up, and if it moves downwards, it means price comes downwards. That's why in trading you could realize there is a big uptrend and there's a huge downtrend as well, because money exits an asset, momentum comes down, and VWAP comes down. So it means price loses its strength and comes down. So basically, this is just basic strategies with Market Cipher, oscillators, and waves. And I do have a course which simplifies how the waves moves, and certain technicalities and other strategies that you can also use to either scalp or swing with Market Cipher. Market Cipher is basically the let's say your ultimate trading script. Is simplifies trading using relatable or visual oscillators or waves that helps you with your trading journey. So until then, have a nice time, people.